My name is Erin Calloway, and I'm 28 years old. On paper, my life is aggressively average. I'm a mid-level analyst at a finance firm, making a solid but not spectacular salary. I pay my bills on time, remember my parents' birthdays, and know exactly how many loyalty points I have on 3 different grocery apps. My older brother, Alex, is the star of the family. 31, senior software architect, recently promoted, the kind of person people point to and say, that one, that's the successful one. I never really minded that, until my boyfriend weaponized it at my parents' dinner table. It was a Sunday, around 6:30 in the evening, and the kitchen smelled like roasted garlic and rosemary. My mom's company roast. My dad was fussing with the good silverware because he still thinks mismatched forks are a moral failing. We were all there, my parents, Alex and his girlfriend Marissa, and me with my boyfriend Logan. Logan had been living in my apartment for 8 months. If you asked him what he did, he'd say freelance graphic design with a little flourish, like that explained why he never paid rent on time. If you asked my bank account, it would say he worked maybe 10 hours a week and treated my debit card like a bottomless well. I'd been ignoring the math because I loved him. Or, at least, I loved the idea of who he might become if his career took off. We were halfway through dinner when it happened. Alex was telling my dad about his promotion, how his team was expanding, how the raise bumped him to around $140 a year. My mom beamed. My dad clapped him on the shoulder. I meant it when I said, "You earned it, Lex. I'm proud of you." Logan laughed, this low, dry sound. His wine glass, a big one, was already on its 3rd refill. "Yeah," he said, swirling the stem. "Must be nice." My mom, oblivious, asked, "How's the design work going, Logan?" He shrugged. "You know how it is in creative fields. Feast or famine." He nudged my elbow. "We're just in a famine moment." My fork paused over my plate. I felt the word like a weight. My salary, my apartment, my utilities, my groceries. But sure. Alex moved on, talking about some tricky bug they'd solved last week. Everyone was listening, except Logan, who was staring at me, his gaze a little glassy. Then he set his wine down, leaned back in his chair, and said, clearly enough that every person at that table heard, "Your brother makes 6 figures. Why can't you be more like him?" Everything stopped. My mom's fork froze halfway to her mouth. My dad's eyes went wide. Marissa's eyebrows shot up. Alex looked like someone had slapped him, and he hadn't decided who to be mad at yet. Heat crawled up the back of my neck. For a second, I honestly thought I'd misheard him. "Excuse me," I said. Logan met my eyes, earnest and drunk and mean all at once. "I'm just saying," he repeated. "Your brother's out here making real money. And you're comfortable, I guess. But if you actually pushed yourself..." He gestured vaguely, like the rest of that sentence was too obvious to finish. I didn't say anything. Not yet. I just put my knife and fork down very carefully, folded my napkin, and took a breath. My heart was hammering hard enough that I could hear it in my ears. 8 months of conversations flickered through my head at once. Him calling my job safe and boring, asking if I could spot him for his car insurance just this month, reminding me that investing in his dreams was what partners do. Alex spoke first. "Logan," he said quietly, "what exactly do you mean by that?" Logan snorted. "I mean, you make 6 figures, man. Aaron's, 68 a year?" He looked at me like I'd brought it up. "You said that." 68 is solid, my dad snapped. "For a starter," Logan said. "I just think if she was more ambitious, we wouldn't be stressing about money all the time." There it was again. My mom's face went from pale to something tight and furious. Logan, how much rent do you pay?" He shifted in his seat. "This isn't about that." "How much?" she repeated. He hesitated, looked at me for backup. I didn't move. Alex watched me. Something clicked in his eyes. "Good question," I said. My voice came out calm. Too calm. The kind of calm you only hear right before a bridge collapses. I picked up my phone, unlocked it, and hit Alex's contact, even though he was sitting 6 feet away from me at the table. His phone buzzed on the table between us. He gave me a puzzled look, then answered slowly. Hello?" I kept my gaze on Logan. "Hey, Lex, my boyfriend has a question. He wants to know why I can't be more like you." The silence deepened to something almost physical. Logan stared at me. "What are you doing?" I ignored him. "Actually," I continued, "could you tell everyone here why you would never date someone like him?" The table exploded into overlapping reactions. My mom's sharp inhale, my dad's Aaron, Logan's hissed, "What the hell, babe?" Alex looked between me and Logan. Then he set his phone down on the table, hit speaker, and leaned back in his chair. You really want me to answer that? He asked. My throat was dry. Please. He took a breath. When his voice came again, it was steady and cold. I would never date someone, he said, who has lived rent-free in my sister's apartment for 8 months and hasn't paid a single dollar in rent. Who calls 10 hours of work a week a career while she funds the rest? Who spends her money on networking trips and creative retreats while she's eating instant noodles at her desk? Logan flushed an angry red. You don't know what you're talking about. Alex didn't look away. I know she paid your car insurance last month. I know she covers your phone bill. I know she paid for that guy's trip you took while she stayed home and worked overtime. I stared at him. How do you? Because she tells me everything, Alex said. Every time you forget your wallet, every time you imply her job isn't real enough because it's not glamorous, every time you make her feel small for not being me. That's private, Logan snapped. Alex's jaw tightened. No, you made it public when you humiliated her at our parents' dinner table. Logan turned to me, voice dropping to a pleading whisper. Baby, come on. I was just being honest. You said you wanted us to be transparent about money. You compared me to my brother like I was defective, I said. My voice was still calm, but my hands were shaking in my lap. You did it here, in front of my family. I didn't attack you, he insisted. I asked a question. Yeah, I said softly, and I answered it. My mom finally spoke. Her tone was the one she used when we'd crossed a line as kids. Logan, she said, I think you should leave. He gaped at her. What? You heard her, my dad said quietly. You should go. He looked back at me, genuinely stunned. You're just going to let them talk to me like that? You attacked me first, I said. Alex is just finishing the sentence. Tears sprang to his eyes, sudden and theatrical. This is insane. I love you, Aaron. You love my bank account, I replied. There's a difference. His face hardened. Wow, cold. You know what? Maybe I should be with someone who actually has ambition. Across the table, Marissa made a sound that was half laugh, half disbelieving snort. My mom pushed her chair back, clearly done. I swallowed. The part of me that wanted to back down, smooth it over, apologize, was screaming. But there was another part, smaller, steelier, that I'd been ignoring for 8 months. It finally spoke. We're done, Logan, I said. Take a rideshare home. You're not getting in my car. He blinked. You're breaking up with me? Here? You disrespected me here, I said. Seems fitting. He looked around the table for someone, anyone, to take his side. No one moved. He pushed his chair back so hard it scraped the floor. Your whole family is toxic, he spat. You're all obsessed with money. Funny, my dad murmured. You're the only one here who doesn't have any. Logan grabbed his jacket and stormed out, slamming the front door so hard one of my mom's framed photos rattled on the wall. The room stayed silent for exactly 10 seconds. Then my mom exhaled. Well, she said faintly, that happened. Alex turned to me. You okay? I realized I was still sitting perfectly straight, hands folded, heart pounding. I let out a shaky laugh. Actually, yeah, I said. That felt weirdly good. You want me to follow you home? He asked. Make sure he's not there? He shouldn't be, I said. His key doesn't work anymore. 4 heads snapped toward me. What? My dad asked. I picked up my wine glass, finally taking a sip. My hands had stopped shaking. I had the locks changed this morning, I said. I had a feeling dinner might go badly. Alex stared at me, and then slowly he grinned. That's my little sister, he said. We finished dinner. We even had dessert. My mom kept squeezing my hand whenever she passed the plates, like she needed to check I was really there. Alex still followed me home. Good thing he did. Because when we pulled into my apartment complex, Logan's car was already there. Parked in my spot, headlights off, engine running, waiting. Alex parked it next to my spot, and for a second we just sat there, both of us watching the outline of Logan's car. My stomach dropped. Of course, Alex muttered. Of course he's here. The engine was idling, headlights still off, like he was hoping to ambush me in the dark. I swallowed, unclipped my seatbelt, and opened my door. You don't have to get out, I told Alex. He snorted. Yeah, that's not happening. We walked across the lot together. Gravel crunched under our shoes. The night and air felt too thin, like it didn't quite make it into my lungs. Logan's door flew open when we got close. He climbed out, eyes shiny and bloodshot. Baby, he said immediately. Can we talk, please? The words scraped against something raw in me. No, I said. His face crumpled. Come on. That whole thing at dinner got out of hand. I was drunk. I didn't mean it like that. You had 3 glasses of wine over 2 hours, I said. You weren't drunk. You were honest. It came out wrong. He looked past me to Alex. Why is he even here? Security, Alex said mildly. Logan glared at him. We're fine. This is between me and my girlfriend. X, I corrected. He flinched like I'd hit him. You don't mean that. I pulled my keys from my purse and walked toward the stairwell that led to my unit. He moved faster than I expected, cutting me off, stepping in front of the door, his arm braced against the frame. You're not walking away from me, he said, voice low and rough. Not after everything I gave up for you. I actually laughed. I couldn't help it. It came out short and humorless. What exactly did you give up? I asked. Your half of the rent? The utility bills? The groceries? His jaw clenched. You're being cruel. Alex stepped closer, close enough that Logan had to tilt his head back a little to look at him. Move, Alex said quietly. This is none of your business, man, Logan snapped. It became my business the second you humiliated my sister in front of our parents, Alex replied. Last warning, move your arm, Logan sneered. Or what? Alex took his phone out and unlocked it with his thumb. Or I call the cops and report a guy who no longer lives here trying to force his way into my sister's apartment at midnight. You wouldn't, Logan said. Try me, Alex replied. We stood in that little triangle of tension for a few heartbeats. Then Logan yanked his arm away from the doorframe and threw both hands up. Fine, he said. Fine. You want to play hardball? Let's talk. There's nothing to talk about, I said. You don't live here anymore, Logan. Your name is not on the lease. You don't pay rent. You're not a tenant. You're a guest who just got uninvited. His mouth twisted. You can't just kick me out. I already did, I said. Your stuff will be packed by tomorrow at noon. You can pick it up then. He stared at me, like if he did it hard enough, I'd suddenly snap back into the version of myself who lied for him. I'm not leaving, he said. Alex sighed and started dialing. 9-1. Okay, Logan exploded. Okay, I'll go. But this isn't over. He jabbed a finger at me. You're going to regret this. You and your perfect brother. He stomped back to his car, slammed the door, and peeled out so fast he clipped a curb. The sound of his engine faded into the night, leaving a hollow ringing in its wake. Alex locked his phone and looked at me. You good? No, I said honestly, but I will be. We went upstairs. My apartment looked exactly like it had when I'd left. Throw blanket folded, dishes done, rent notice tacked neatly on the fridge. My handwriting, not his. It already felt different somehow, quieter, like the air wasn't braced for the next crisis. You meant it about packing his stuff? Alex asked. Yeah, I said. I'm not dragging this out. Okay. He rolled his shoulders, like he was warming up for a workout. I'll help. Let me call Marissa. She's built for this. You don't have to. Shut up, he said lightly. We're helping. He stepped into the hallway to make the call. I went to the bedroom and opened the closet. Half of it was his. Shoes he'd needed for networking events he never went to. Shirts I'd bought him, so he'd look professional at client meetings. A suit he'd worn twice. Once to a wedding, once to a job interview he'd walked out of halfway through because they didn't get his creative vision. I pulled down a suitcase and started with the shirts. By the time Alex reappeared, hauling in flattened boxes, I had 2 piles going. Logan's things and the empty spaces they left behind. Marissa's on her way, he said. She's grabbing tape and markers. You guys are insane, I said. Maybe, he said, but we're effective. An hour later, our little packing party was in full swing. Marissa arrived in leggings and a messy bun, eyes sharp, arms full of supplies. Okay, she said, kicking the door shut behind her. Show me the parasite zone. I laughed for the first time that night. We moved room by room. Clothes, toiletries, gaming console, his stack of inspiration books that he never opened. Every time I hesitated over something, an old hoodie, a framed photo, Marissa would quietly ask, "Did he pay for it?" If the answer was no, it went in a box. You know, she said at one point, scribbling Logan, bathroom on a flap. If he tries to claim you kept anything, these labels are going to look really nice on a courtroom projector. I blinked. Courtroom? Hypothetically, she said. I just like receipts. Speaking of receipts, Alex added from the living room, how much have you actually spent on him? I stiffened. I don't know. I never added it up. Maybe you should, he said gently. Not to torture yourself, just to know. The thought made my stomach hurt, but I nodded. While they taped boxes, I grabbed my laptop and logged into my banking app. I filtered transactions by his name, the recurring bills he was supposed to contribute to, the trips he'd promised to pay me back for. My screen filled with line after line. Rent transfers, grocery stores, Uber rides, streaming services, Verizon, his car insurance, random boutique charges he'd called client schmoozing. How bad is it? Marissa asked, glancing over. I swallowed. From September to now, roughly 22,400. Alex let out a low whistle. He was burning through almost half your net income. Marissa's expression turned from sympathetic to something sharper. You have screenshots of your texts about this stuff? Some, I said. Why? Because what he did isn't just morally trash, she said. It's close to unjust enrichment, especially if he tries to flip the script later. I doubt he'll... As if the universe wanted to underline her point, my phone buzzed with a notification. New email. I glanced down. Subject line. Notice of fraud investigation. Credit card charges. The world narrowed to the screen in my hand. I clicked it open. The bank listed 3 recent charges flagged as suspicious. A $340 boutique purchase yesterday, $180 at a spa on Friday, $90 at a restaurant Thursday night. All on a card that was physically in my wallet. All at times my timesheet said I was at work. He took my card, I whispered. Marissa was at my side in a heartbeat, reading over my shoulder. Did you give him permission? No, I said. Never. He asked once if he could use it for gas. I said no, and he sulked for 3 days. Then we're not just in parasite boyfriend territory, she said. We're in potential fraud territory. The word sat heavy between us. What do I do? I asked. Call the bank, report the charges, cancel the card, she said. Then send me the statements, all of them. We're not making assumptions, we're building a record. I did what she said. Sat on my couch at 1 a.m, listening to hold music while Alex and Marissa sealed another box with a vicious strip of tape. Ms. Calloway, the bank rep finally said in my ear, we'll open a formal investigation. Your card will be deactivated immediately and a new one issued. In the meantime, please review your statements for any other charges you don't recognize. Okay, I said. My voice sounded weirdly distant. When I hung up, Alex handed me a marker. Want to label the last box? It's his game stuff. I took the marker and wrote Logan, M-I-C, regrets across the top. Marissa laughed. Not legally accurate, but very emotionally satisfying. We finished at 2 a.m, 23 boxes in all, stacked neatly in the living room, like a tiny cardboard skyline. Alex took photos from every angle. Documentation, he said, in case he claims you kept anything. When they left, the apartment felt hollow and echoing, but also lighter. I changed all my passwords. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Spotify, everything logged in under our profiles. I sat up way too late scrolling back through old transactions, finding more little thefts disguised as, oops, I thought it was my card. By the time I finally crawled into bed, it was almost 4. I slept badly. At 11:30 a.m., someone pounded on my door like they were trying to knock it off the hinges. I checked the peephole. Logan. And he wasn't alone. His mother stood beside him, lips pressed into a furious line, with 2 of his best friends behind them, holding reusable shopping bags and a folded dolly. It looked less like a pickup and more like a hostile delegation. I took a breath, hit record on my phone camera, and opened the door. His mom didn't bother with hello. You can't just throw him out, she snapped, jabbing a manicured finger toward my chest. He lives here. He doesn't, I said calmly. His name's not on the lease. He doesn't pay rent. He's a guest who overstayed. That's illegal, she said. No, I replied. It's really, really not. My friend is a lawyer. She confirmed it last night. One of Logan's friends shifted uncomfortably. The other rolled his eyes, like this was all tedious drama. You're really going to abandon him over one argument? His mom demanded. I almost laughed. One argument? I repeated. This isn't about one argument. It's 8 months of him living off me, belittling my job, and then humiliating me at my parents' table. The argument just made it impossible to ignore. Logan stepped forward, putting on his wounded expression. I don't resent you, Aaron. I love you. I pulled my iPad from behind the door, already queued up to my bank app. I tilted the screen toward them. This, I said, is $22,400 I've spent on you in 8 months. Rent, groceries, your car insurance, your phone, your credit card, your career trips. Tell me again how you've been supporting me. His mom's face went pale. That was our expenses, Logan said quickly. Couples share things. Couples share, I agreed. I paid everything. You paid nothing. That's not sharing. His mom's mouth opened and closed. This is cruel, she said weakly. He has nowhere to go. I remembered his words from the night before. Someone more ambitious. Someone who could actually keep up with him. You said last night you should be with someone who has more ambition, I said. Call them. That was a lie, he snapped. I said it to hurt you. Well, I said, it worked. I stepped back and gestured to the living room. Your boxes are inside. You have until noon to get them. It's 11:32. They filed past me, muttering. Shooting me looks like I'd set fire to his things instead of neatly labeling them. As they moved back and forth, hauling cardboard out to the car, his mom hissed about lawyers, compensation for wasted time, how I'd used her son. I just kept my phone pointed steadily at them, recording. At 12:15, the last box was loaded. Logan lingered in the doorway, eyes searching my face for any sign of softness. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "Can we please try again?" "No," I said. "Why not?" His voice cracked. "People make mistakes." "You didn't make a mistake," I said. "You showed me who you really are. I'm just finally believing you." The hurt on his face was real, I think, but so was the entitlement standing next to it. He walked away. His mom shot me one last venomous look before she followed. I shut the door, locked it, stood in my empty, quiet living room, surrounded by the ghost shapes of furniture that didn't belong to him anymore. I thought it was over. I was wrong. Logan wasn't done with me, and he was about to find out I was even less done with him. For the first 24 hours, it was quiet, unsettlingly quiet. No calls, no texts, no long, manipulative paragraphs about how I was throwing away something real. I kept waiting for my phone to light up, for his name to flash across the screen like it had 100 times before. Nothing. Monday morning, I got up, made coffee, and went to work like a normal person whose life hadn't just detonated over roast beef and red wine. By 10 a.m., the illusion shattered. The first call came in as I was reconciling a client report. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Then another. Different number. Then another. By the fifth call, my stomach was tight. I picked up. "Hello?" Silence. Then a familiar inhale. "You're really not going to answer me anymore?" "Logan." I closed my eyes. "This is Aaron. Who's calling?" "Oh, cute," he said bitterly. "So we're strangers now." "I'm at work," I said. "Do not call this number again." "You can't just throw someone away like garbage," he snapped. "After everything I sacrificed." I hung up. The phone rang again within seconds. Same number. I blocked it. Another number. Blocked. By lunch, I'd blocked 9 numbers. By the end of the day, 38. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart kicked like it was trying to escape my chest. That night, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and slept with it face down on my nightstand, like that would keep his voice out of my dreams. It didn't. Tuesday, he escalated. It was just after noon. I was in the lobby of our office building, balancing a salad and a sparkling water, scrolling through emails on my phone as the elevator dinged. "Aaron." His voice knifed through the hum of conversation and the rattle of the revolving door. I turned. He was standing near the security desk, hair mussed, dark circles under his eyes, wearing the same hoodie he'd insisted was too comfortable to pack. He looked wrong in that space. Too messy, too loud. "What are you doing here?" I asked, every muscle in my body going rigid. "We need to talk," he said, stalking toward me. "You won't answer your phone. You blocked my mom." "Because I don't want to talk to you," I said. "You need to leave." People were watching now. 3 colleagues near the elevators went quiet. The security guard straightened. "I'm not leaving until you hear me out," Logan said. His voice was rising. "You don't get to just ruin my life and then hide behind your family's money like some—" I put my salad on a side table, hands shaking. "You have 30 seconds to walk out on your own," I said softly, "or I ask security to escort you." His eyes widened, then narrowed. "You wouldn't." I turned to the guard. "Hi, I'm a tenant on 8. This man is my ex-boyfriend. I've asked him to leave. He's refusing." The guard looked from me to Logan, took in my expression, then stepped in. "Sir, you're going to have to exit the premises." Logan barked a humorless laugh. "Are you serious? I'm having a private conversation with my girlfriend." "Ex," I said again. The guard's tone hardened. "You need to leave, now." Logan's voice went from pleading to ugly in an instant. "You're unbelievable," he snarled at me. "You freeze me out, you throw me out, now you're having me tossed from your job. You're insane." "Sir," the guard repeated. A second guard appeared at his elbow. Logan jerked his arm away when they touched him, but he went. He went loudly. "She's abusing me," he shouted as they steered him toward the revolving doors. "Financial abuse, emotional abuse. Someone should sue you, Aaron, you hear me?" The last thing I saw before the doors spun him out onto the sidewalk was his wild, furious face reflected in the glass. Great, I thought numbly. Now my job was involved. 15 minutes later, my manager called me into his office. He gestured for me to sit. "Want to tell me what that was about?" I stared at a spot on the carpet. "My ex-boyfriend. We broke up this weekend. He's not handling it well." "Is he going to show up again?" my manager asked. He didn't sound unkind, just tired. over it, before it even began. No, I said quickly. I'll make sure security knows not to let him in. He studied me. I'm sorry you're going through whatever that is, but we can't have scenes in the lobby. Clients walk through there. I understand, I said. It won't happen again. You sure this isn't going to become a problem? He pressed. Logan's voice echoed in my head. Someone should sue you. No, I said. If anything escalates, I have a lawyer. It was the first time I said it out loud. It felt like putting on armor. Wednesday, it moved online. I woke up to 6 notifications from mutual acquaintances and people I barely knew. Hey, are you okay? Is this about you? I clicked the link. Logan had posted a 5-paragraph essay on Instagram, a close-up of his red eyes and scruffy jaw, captioned with a wall of text about financial abuse, being used as an emotional support pet, and being thrown out when you're no longer convenient. He never said my name. He didn't have to. He mentioned she works in finance, making almost $70 a year. Her perfect brother. Sunday dinners at her parents' house. Our social circles overlapped just enough that anyone with half a brain could connect the dots. The comments made my stomach twist. Wow, dude, I'm so sorry. You deserve better than that. Can't believe someone would throw you out when you're struggling. This is why men are scared to be vulnerable. People I'd never met calling me trash. A gold digger in reverse. A cold-hearted career bot who used a man until he broke. My thumb hovered over the reply box. Alex's text came in before I could type anything. Saw Logan's little manifesto. You want me to respond and drop the receipts? I stared at the blinking cursor. No, I typed back. Let him dig his own grave. I'm just taking screenshots. You okay? No, but I will be. Thursday afternoon, my mom called. Her voice was tight. Your ex's mother called me. I closed my eyes. What did she say? That you financially abused her poor, struggling son, my mom said flatly. That you trapped him with promises of support and then threw him out on the street. That you owe him for wasted years. Heat flared behind my eyes. And what did you say? I told her the truth, my mom said. That her grown son lived in my daughter's apartment for free for 8 months, barely worked, spent your money like water, and then humiliated you in my dining room. She didn't like that version of events. I'm sorry she dragged you into this, I murmured. Don't be, my mom said. I've dealt with worse. But heads up, she mentioned lawyers, plural. I sat there, the words settling in the pit of my stomach like a stone. Lawyers. Friday evening, there was a knock at my door. For one heart-stopping second, I thought Logan had shown up again. I grabbed my phone, thumb hovering over 911, and looked through the peephole. A man in a polo shirt and khakis stood there holding a manila envelope. I opened the door a crack. Can I help you? Are you Aaron Calloway? He asked. Yes. He handed me the envelope. You've been served. Have a nice day. He walked away before I could say anything. My fingers felt thick as I peeled the flap open. Legal letterhead. Case numbers. Plaintiff. Logan Hayes. Defendant. Aaron Calloway. The words blurred, then sharpened as I forced myself to read. He was suing me for $20,400 in funds fraudulently obtained, $8,000 in promised financial support, $5,000 for emotional distress. The return of all gifts purchased during the relationship, valued at $3,000. Total $38,400 plus all gifts. My vision tunneled. The edges of the room pulsed. I sat down hard on the arm of the couch and called Alex. He picked up on the first ring. Hey, kiddo, what's up? He's suing me, I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. Logan, I got served. There's a complaint, and he... Slow down, Alex said. I could hear him moving, grabbing keys or his wallet. What does it say? I skimmed the language, tripping over legal phrases. When I finished, there was a beat of silence. Then Alex said, very calmly, Oh, he really screwed up. What does that mean? I whispered. It means, Alex replied, he just handed us the perfect opportunity to destroy his narrative in a court of law. And I mean destroy. I don't want to destroy him, I said weakly. I just want him to go away. He won't, Alex said. Not if he thinks he can squeeze money and sympathy out of you. You need to fight back. Call Marissa. I hesitated. Are you sure that's not extreme? He stole your card, Alex reminded me. He's harassed you at home and at work. He's lying about you publicly, and now he's suing you for money you spent on him. This isn't a breakup anymore. This is a legal problem. He was right. I hung up and called Marissa. She answered on the second ring. Hey, Aaron, what's going on? I swallowed. Remember last weekend when you said we might end up in court? Yeah, she said slowly. You were right, I said. He served me. He's suing me for almost 40 grand. Read it to me, she said. I did. When I got to the part about fraudulently obtained funds and promised support, she made a low, incredulous sound. Wow, she said when I finished. This is the dumbest lawsuit I've seen in years. That's good, I ventured. It's good for you, she said, because everything he's accusing you of, we can prove is the opposite, and he just put all of it in writing. We're not just going to defend this, we're going to counterclaim. For what? I said, my head spinning. For unjust enrichment, she said. For the $20,400, you can document spending on him. For theft, for the unauthorized credit card charges the bank is already investigating, for emotional distress, and for legal fees. And we're going to file a criminal complaint for credit card fraud. Criminal? I repeated. Aaron, she said gently, your bank already flagged those charges. You reported them. They're investigating. If they confirm he used your card without permission while you were at work, that's not a misunderstanding. That's fraud. Potentially felony fraud. My heart thudded. I don't know if I'm ready for that. He's ready to take you for almost 40 grand and a reputation hit, she said. You're allowed to be ready to protect yourself. There was a long silence. Okay, I whispered. What do you need from me? Everything, she said. Bank statements for the last 12 months, screenshots of your texts where he admits you're covering rent and bills, photos from last weekend of his stuff boxed up, the email from the bank about the fraud investigation, any social media posts he's made about you, even if he doesn't say your name. That's a lot, I said. Good, she said. Judges love paper. The rest of the weekend blurred into a montage of printing, highlighting, and reliving every humiliating transaction and conversation. Every Venmo note that said, I'll get you back, and never did. Every charge from boutiques and spas and restaurants I'd never stepped foot in. Marissa met me at a coffee shop with a thick folder under her arm. She'd drafted our response, a stack of pages that felt heavier than the paper should. This is your story, she said, sliding it across the table. This time, in your words, and the bank's numbers. Read it. If you're okay with it, I'll file it Monday. I read. Counterclaim for $22,400 in unjust enrichment. $4,800 in theft. Unauthorized credit card charges backed by bank records and my employee badge logs showing I was at work. $10,000 for emotional distress. $5,000 in legal fees. Notice of intent to pursue criminal charges for credit card fraud and mail theft if warranted by the bank's investigation. She'd attached exhibits, my statements, the lease with only my name, the photo grid of his boxes, the emails from the bank, screenshots of his ranting posts. By the time I reached the last page, my hands were steady. File it, I said. She smiled, small and fierce. Already planned to. Monday morning, she submitted it to the court. Tuesday afternoon, her phone rang while we were sitting at my dining table, going over yet another list of requested documents. She put it on speaker. Marissa Cole, she said. A male voice responded. Ms. Cole, this is Daniel Briggs, counsel for Mr. Hayes. My client would like to drop the suit. Marissa glanced at me, eyebrow raised. Too late, she said. We're proceeding with the counterclaim and the criminal complaint. That seems excessive, he said. Your client is overreacting. My client is going through emotional distress. Your client committed fraud and filed a frivolous lawsuit against his victim, Marissa said coolly. Our response is proportional. If he wanted quiet, he should have chosen different actions. He's willing to walk away from everything, Briggs insisted. No more social media, no more calls. We can make this disappear. We're not interested in disappearing, Marissa said. We're interested in accountability. See you in court. She hung up. My pulse was pounding, but not from fear. From something that felt a lot like relief. For 8 months, Logan had treated my life like his playground. My money like his. My boundaries like suggestions. Now finally, there would be a line he couldn't talk his way around. What I didn't know yet was just how ugly he'd get before he hit it. The preliminary hearing was set for Friday morning. I didn't sleep much the night before. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw flashes of that Sunday dinner, Logan's smirk, the wine glass in his hand, the way he'd looked at me like my worth was conditional and negotiable. Then I'd see the security guards escorting him out of my office lobby, or the screenshot of his Instagram post painting himself as a tragic hero. By the time my alarm went off, I'd already been awake for an hour. Alex picked me up. He didn't ask if I needed him to. He just texted, I'm outside. I opened the passenger door to find a travel mug of green tea in the cup holder. You good? He asked. No, I said honestly, but I'm dressed. That's the spirit, he said, pulling out of the lot. Marissa met us at the courthouse. She wore a dark blazer, her hair pinned back, her glasses low on her nose in a way that made her look both elegant and deadly. "You ready?" she asked. "No," I repeated, "but I'm here." "That's enough," she said. Logan was already inside the courtroom when we entered. He sat with his lawyer, dressed in a wrinkled button-down, jaw tight, eyes flicking up when the door opened. His mother sat directly behind him, arms crossed, wearing grief, like a costume. When Logan's eyes landed on me, something flickered across his face. Shame? Anger? Entitlement denied? I didn't care anymore. He looked away first. We sat at the defendant's table. Marissa organized her folders with surgical precision. Alex sat in the back row, a quiet, solid presence. The judge entered. Everyone rose. Court was called to order. Logan's lawyer went first, arguing that Logan had been codependent, emotionally vulnerable, and financially disadvantaged, and that his partner's abrupt eviction constituted wrongful deprivation. It was bold. The judge adjusted his glasses, unimpressed. "Ms. Cole?" Marissa stood. "Your Honor," she began, "the plaintiff lived rent-free in Ms. Calloway's apartment for 8 months without contributing financially. We have bank statements documenting that she covered 100% of household expenses, as well as the plaintiff's phone bill, car insurance, groceries, transportation, and multiple non-essential purchases." She slid Exhibit A across the table. Logan's lawyer took it reluctantly. "We also have evidence," she continued, "that the plaintiff used Ms. Calloway's credit card without permission on 3 separate dates while she was at work, as shown by her employee keycard logs. These charges were flagged by her bank and are currently under investigation for fraud." The judge lifted his eyebrows. "Is this accurate, Mr. Briggs?" Logan's lawyer cleared his throat. "My client believed he had implied permission." "Implied?" the judge cut in. "Did she tell him he could use her credit card?" Silence. "Answer the question," the judge said. Logan stared at the table. "No." "And is it true you did not pay rent?" Logan's jaw ticked. "Yes." "What about utilities, groceries, shared expenses?" Another beat. "Oh, no." The judge sighed, loudly. "So the plaintiff is suing his ex-partner for money she spent supporting him?" Briggs hesitated. "Not exactly." "Actually, Your Honor," Marissa said smoothly, "that is exactly what he's doing. And now that we're here, we're proceeding with the counterclaim." She passed the judge another packet. The judge flipped through it. "This includes credit card fraud, unjust enrichment, and theft," he said aloud, "along with documentation of the plaintiff publicly accusing the defendant of abuse online, harassing her at her place of work, and attempting to force entry into her residence." Logan's mother sucked in a sharp breath. The judge looked at Logan, really looked at him. "Mr. Hayes," he said, voice flat, "this is one of the most frivolous and poorly conceived lawsuits I've seen in my court in years." Logan's face drained of color. The judge continued, "The original suit is dismissed with prejudice." His gavel hit the desk, sharp, final. Logan's mother gasped. Logan's shoulders caved in. "The counterclaim will proceed," the judge added. A tiny sound escaped Logan's mom, somewhere between a choke and a sob. Court was adjourned. Outside the courthouse, Logan's mother cornered me before I could make it to the steps. "You're destroying him," she hissed, voice trembling with rage. I stared at her, really stared, and for the first time I didn't feel intimidated, or guilty, or like I owed her an explanation. "No," I said quietly. "He destroyed himself. I just stopped paying for it." Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She stepped back like I'd slapped her. Logan stood behind her, glaring, but not approaching. Not brave enough. Marissa stepped between us, her tone cool and professional. "If you have concerns, direct them to counsel." Logan's mom's glare wavered. They left without another word. Alex came down the steps behind me. "You okay?" I let out a shaky laugh. "Actually, yeah." "Good," he said. "Beer?" "God, yes." Later that night, sitting across from Alex at a dimly lit bar, something inside me unclenched for the first time in months. "You know," Alex said, sipping his drink, "you've always been strong. You just didn't always act like it." "I didn't feel strong," I admitted. "You don't have to feel strong to be strong," he said. "You just have to stop letting people drain you." I looked down at the folder Marissa had given me. The updated filings, the next steps, the dates circled for the full hearing 6 weeks from now. The next part would be harder, bigger, more public. And I was ready for it in a way I hadn't been ready for anything in a long time. But Logan wasn't done spiraling. Not even close. He was about to cross a line so reckless, even I couldn't have predicted it. 3 weeks after the preliminary hearing, my building's night security called me at 3:07 a.m. "Ms. Calloway?" The man's voice crackled through my phone. "Sorry to wake you. Your ex-boyfriend is in the lobby again." I sat bolt upright. "Logan?" "Yes, ma'am. He's intoxicated and refusing to leave. He says he lives here and wants to come up." My heart started pounding, not in the old, familiar panic way, but in a sharp, focused way. "Have you asked him to go?" I asked. "Twice," the guard said. "He's loud. Residents have complained." I swung my legs out of bed. "Okay, call the police." "You don't want to come down?" he asked. "No," I said. "I want you to call the police, and I want you to tell them I've requested they remove him. I'll be available to give a statement if they need one, but I'm not seeing him." There was a brief pause. "Understood." I hung up and sat there in the dark, my phone glowing in my hand, listening to the muffled, raised voice from 8 floors below. I couldn't make out words, just the cadence of Logan's anger, too familiar to mistake. 40 minutes later, the guard called back. "Police took him in," he said. "Public intoxication and trespassing. They wanted to confirm you don't want him on the property." "I don't," I said. "Not now, not ever." When I tried to go back to sleep, I couldn't, not because I felt guilty, but because I didn't. In the morning, my voicemail had 3 new messages. 2 were from numbers I didn't recognize. One was from Logan's mom. "You had him arrested," she screamed into the receiver. "My son is in jail because of you. He is distraught. He's drinking himself sick because you've ruined his life. Drop the charges. Drop this ridiculous countersuit. You're killing him." I listened to the whole thing without moving. Then I forwarded it to Marissa. "Save every message," she texted back. "The more they talk, the more they help us." The final hearing was 6 weeks later. By then, the bank had completed its investigation. They'd confirmed 3 credit card charges made while my badge records showed I was physically in my office building. They'd traced an activated card number I'd never used to a piece of mail addressed to me that had never been reported delivered. Logan hadn't borrowed my card. He'd stolen a new one from my mail. Marissa built that finding into our case like a load-bearing wall. The morning of the hearing, the courthouse smelled like coffee and old paper. My hands shook as I went through security, trays of belongings sliding through the scanner. Alex walked beside me, close enough that our shoulders brushed. "You can still settle," he said quietly. "Nobody would blame you if you just wanted it over." I thought about that, about taking some watered-down agreement, signing away the right to be fully vindicated in exchange for silence. "No," I said. "If I cave now, he learns that if he pushes hard enough, people fold. I'm done teaching him that lesson." He squeezed my shoulder. "Good. Because Marissa might actually be disappointed if she doesn't get to annihilate him in front of a judge." Marissa met us outside the courtroom with her usual calm, carrying a trial binder that looked like it could double as a weapon. "You ready?" she asked. "No," I said, "but I'm walking in anyway." She smiled faintly. "That's all this really is, walking in, over and over." Logan had upgraded. His new lawyer wore an expensive suit and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Logan himself was scrubbed up, hair tamed, wearing a tie I'd bought him once for a job interview. His parents sat behind him. His mother's face was set in a mask of righteous martyrdom. Court was called to order. The new lawyer started with a performance. He painted Logan as a vulnerable artist taken advantage of by a rigid, money-focused partner who treated him like a project and then discarded him when he didn't meet her standards. He even tried to argue that Logan was entitled to compensation because he'd provided services as a boyfriend. "Emotional labor," the lawyer said. "Companionship, support, building a home together, all uncompensated." The judge stared at him for a long moment. "That's called a relationship," the judge said dryly. "Not employment. Try again." The lawyer cleared his throat, pivoting into a rambling monologue about unfair power dynamics. When he finally sat down, Marissa stood. "Your Honor," she said, "we're not here to debate the philosophy of relationships. We're here to talk about what actually happened." She started with the money. Exhibits A through F, months of bank statements, highlighted charges clearly tied to Logan, rent payments, utilities, groceries, streaming services, car insurance, phone bills, vacations he'd insisted were investments in inspiration. Over the course of 8 months, Marissa said, her voice steady, Ms. Calloway paid approximately $20,400 in expenses, directly benefiting Mr. Hayes. He contributed no rent, no utilities, and no regular share of household costs. She moved to the boxes, photos of each one, labeled and dated, stacked neatly by my living room wall. These demonstrate that Ms. Calloway returned every possession of Mr. Hayes that she could reasonably identify, she said. We have time-stamped images and a video of him and his associates collecting the boxes at the agreed time. The judge flipped through them, noted. Then came the fraud. Marissa called the bank investigator to the stand. He testified about the flagged charges, the timing, the activated card number, the missing mail. Based on your investigation, Marissa asked, did Ms. Calloway authorize these transactions? No, he said. She reported them as fraud immediately upon discovery, and our records corroborate that she was at her workplace when all 3 charges were made. Does your investigation indicate who made the charges? She asked. We can't state with 100% certainty, he said, but the card was mailed to Ms. Calloway's address, activated via phone shortly thereafter, and used by someone physically present at those merchant locations while Ms. Calloway's work credentials show her in her office building. Is it possible, Marissa said, that someone who lived in her apartment but did not work with her had access to that mail and card? Yes, he said. Logan's lawyer objected to the implication. The judge overruled him. Then Marissa introduced screenshots of Logan's social media posts, the ones calling me abusive and cruel, and the video from my office lobby where security escorted him out while he shouted about being victimized. When she finally rested, the courtroom felt heavy with paper and truth. Logan's lawyer tried to salvage it. He put Logan on the stand and asked leading questions about his emotional state, how lost and unsupported he'd felt, how he thought he had permission to use my card because we shared everything. Marissa rose for cross-examination. Mr. Hayes, she said lightly, did Ms. Calloway ever explicitly tell you that you could use her credit card whenever you wanted? He swallowed. No, but she... Did you ask her permission for the 3 charges currently under investigation? No. Were you aware she was at work when you made them? He hesitated. I didn't check her schedule. Did you pay rent? She asked. No. Utilities? No. Groceries? He shifted. Sometimes I picked things up. With your own card? She asked. With hers, he muttered. A beat of silence. Marissa tilted her head. Mr. Hayes, do you understand that using someone else's credit card without their permission is not a relationship problem? It's a crime. His lawyer objected. The judge overruled him again, his patience thinning. Then the judge leaned forward. Mr. Hayes, he said, voice flat, did you or did you not take a credit card addressed to Ms. Calloway from her mail, activate it, and use it without her knowledge? The color drained from Logan's face. I thought she'd be okay with it. We were together. It wasn't like... Yes or no, the judge said sharply. Logan's hand clenched on the wooden rail. Yes. His new lawyer closed his eyes briefly, like he felt the case slipping through his fingers. The judge exhaled slowly. His expression chilled. Do you understand, he said, that you have just admitted, on the record, to mail theft and credit card fraud? Those are not minor offenses, Mr. Hayes. Those are crimes that can carry prison time. Logan's mother made a strangled sound. Your Honor, he's going through emotional distress. Ma'am, the judge snapped. Sit down. She sat. The judge turned to Marissa. Does the defendant wish to press criminal charges? Marissa looked at me. My heart hammered. 8 months of being drained. Weeks of harassment. The public smearing. The lawsuit. The 3 a.m. lobby visit. Yes, Your Honor, I said. My voice was steady. We do. The judge nodded once. So noted. I am referring this matter to the district attorney's office. He shuffled his papers, then looked back up. As for the civil case, he said, the evidence is clear. The plaintiff exploited the defendant financially, then attempted to weaponize the legal system against her when she finally set boundaries. His gaze pinned Logan in place. The defendant, Ms. Calloway, is awarded $20,400 in restitution for unjust enrichment, $4,800 for theft and unauthorized credit card charges, $5,000 for emotional distress, and $8,200 in legal fees. Total judgment, $40,400. He tapped his pen on the desk. If the defendant fails to pay, Ms. Calloway may pursue wage garnishment or asset seizure. His gavel came down. Court is adjourned. Logan sagged in his chair. His mother started screaming at no one in particular until security moved toward her and she shut up or got dragged out. I'm not sure which, because I wasn't looking anymore. I turned to Marissa. Is that it? I asked. For the civil side, yes, she said. For the criminal side, that's in the DA's hands now. Alex met me in the hallway, eyes bright. How'd it go? He asked. $40,400, I said, plus criminal charges. He let out a low whistle. Damn, you okay? I paused, checking in with myself. Relieved, wrung out, hollow and strangely light. I feel nothing, I said slowly. Just done, like I can finally exhale. Good, he said, slinging an arm around my shoulders. Because you deserve to breathe without someone standing on your chest. It wasn't over overnight. The district attorney offered Logan a plea deal. Plead guilty to 1 count of credit card fraud, pay full restitution, 2 years of probation, no jail time if he complied. He took it. He didn't have a choice. The $40,400 came in monthly payments, $350 at a time, spread over years. The first payment hit my account one random Tuesday morning, a small deposit with a big shadow. I moved it straight into savings. Logan's freelance design career cratered when the fraud conviction became public record. Clients Googled his name and quietly disappeared. He ended up working retail for barely above minimum wage, posting fewer and fewer vague, self-pitying updates until his social media went dark. His parents cut him off financially. He has to learn, his mother said in one bitter voicemail that ended up in my evidence folder instead of my heart. He eventually moved into a cramped apartment with a roommate, a far cry from my place he'd treated like an all-inclusive resort. As for me, things got better in a way that felt almost unfair. The money didn't make me rich, it just slowly patched the holes he'd punched in my savings. Alex used his connections to get my resume in front of a recruiter at his company. Different department, different work, but a step up, new title, better pay. When I got the offer, $79 to start, I cried in my car for 10 minutes, then called my parents from the parking lot. My mom's first question, does this mean we still get Sunday dinners? Yes, I said laughing, always. We went back to them 3 months after the dinner that started everything. Same table, same chairs, same roast, no Logan, just family. Halfway through dessert, my mom leaned back and shook her head. Remember when that awful guy looked at you and asked why you couldn't be more like your brother? She said. At my table. Mom, I groaned, please don't quote him. It's bad luck. It's funny now, she insisted. He ended up with a fraud conviction, paying you $40,400, living with a roommate, and working retail. You ended up with a promotion, a clean apartment, and a better sense of self-worth. She's not wrong, Alex said, raising his glass. My dad watched me for a moment, something thoughtful in his eyes. You know why he asked you that? He said. Because he's an idiot? I offered. Besides that, my dad said, smiling faintly, he couldn't see you were already exactly like your brother. Strong, loyal, principled. You just needed a reason to prove it to yourself. Heat pricked behind my eyes. Alex clinked his glass against mine. To my little sister, he said, who finally stopped letting people walk all over her. My mom raised hers. And to never inviting anyone like him to dinner again. Agreed, I said. We drank. Later that night, back in my apartment, I stood in the middle of my quiet living room and thought about that infamous question. Why can't you be more like him? Logan was paying, every month, for the privilege of being wrong. In the end, it turned out he'd been asking the wrong question all along. I didn't need to be more like my brother. I just needed to remember I already was. And he paid $40,400 to remind me.